Now, you like to relate that to the Indian music. So the first phase of the Labyrinth of Mind is essentially pretty simple. It deals with the notes. People say an idea or two, and they judge it, and they bicker, and they celebrate it. But it's all around a simple minimal collection of ideas.
Can everyone sing this scale again with us, man? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So Payday is the only show,
by the way, I recall,
laid out on 3 phases.
Okay.
The first phase is people talking ideas
Okay.
and memes
Okay.
and wrestling with their mind. So it's about the labyrinth of the mind.
But these areas of complete numbness, any new technology creates an environment, it creates a total numbness. And so people are always unaware of the new environment. And so they're unaware of the electric environment. All right, at the present, let's say so. At the present moment, the changes going on in the Negro world are very much the electric environment of information around a population. And the people who feel are most closest to the ear world, the total world. We're spending all our latest billions on orientalizing the Western world by electric means.
Yeah.
While spending a much smaller budget on westernizing the Orient.
Now,
but again, anything that is present is invisible, and the fact that we're orientalizing ourselves, going inward, in depth, giving up all our old superficial ways of external aggression in favor of inner tripping, this is quite invisible.
By the way, I recall that. So we have 1/2 of the audience listening now. 1/2 of one is listening now, folks.
I don't know what would happen if people became totally aware of what they were doing in any particular period. I hope we may have something to contribute to this. Awareness, it seems to me, is a very desirable thing. I'm not sure if that's a moral judgment. No, it's just a preference. But I can assure you that history reveals that people have never in any age of the human past ever known what they were doing. That is, what the effects would be of what they were doing. They always had, verbalized ways of mentioning to themselves what they were doing, but, for example, nobody ever knew what the effect of the wheel would be on the arrangement of human life and so on. And now in the age of the circuit, the wheel is finished.
What is the topic right now? What are we talking about?
We're spending all our latest billions on orientalizing the Western world by electric means, while spending a much smaller budget on westernizing the Orient. But again, anything that is present is invisible, and the fact that we're orientalizing ourselves, going inward, in depth, giving up all our old superficial ways of external aggression in favor of inner tripping, this is quite invisible. I don't know.
Like if I play this.
What would happen if people became totally aware of what they were doing?
Like if I take this scale. Is there any singer in now who can sing?
We can't say it is a
Yeah,
show.
we
It's a
can't
family
say it.
show.
Yeah.
It's a family show.
You? Yeah. Can you sing this? La 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 la. But that's staccato, right? Now this is just the scale. It's not the mood. So this is how we develop now. So this is being taught to a student like play the scale like a normal student who plays. But the mood of the treatment of the scale should be
essential mood of the show is participatory democracy, right? Well, when that came out in the mid to late 60s as a political phrase in the United States, it was hijacked by Richard Nixon in his 1968 comeback campaign, where he was claiming he would represent a participatory democracy. But McLuhan at the time said, no, we don't want a participatory democracy. We want an anticipatory democracy. You anticipate. You see the effects coming before the causes, or you could even call it ESP. So management used global and solar management used anticipatory democracy, and they sold it as a participatory mood mud in the growing early stages of the Android meme at the time of Nixon's second campaign in 1968. So I like to think of PAYDAY as an exercise in anticipatory democracy. That is the goal, to get to that kind of perception. But it usually involves a lot of willy-nilly participatory seduction.
it changed, right? The treatment changed it all, the mood changed it all.
Then when ion comes in, non-physical, as ion unfolds for about 5 hours, a melody appears, and people get a sense of direction or a sense of completion, and the notes have expanded into a song.
Mankind is, under speeded up conditions, retribalizing in the old technical sense. I'm using the word tribal now in the technical sense of living by ear rather than by eye. The word involvement has taken over from the word escapism. Everybody used to be accused of escapism in the age of the book and the movie, and now they're accused of involvement. The old meaning of cool was detachment. The new meaning is involved. The word cool has flipped. And it's a very good indication of where or what's been going on. But this retribalizing, which is a technical thing, and I am not taking a pro or con stand on this or on any of these other technical changes. It seems to me rather futile to make a moral stand or a value judgment stand on a technological matter. But after all, technology is something we did to ourselves. Why become indignant or enthusiastic about a wheel or a telegraph? But another major shift going on right under our noses, and therefore invisible, is the shifting of the Western world toward the Orient.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 hours. Somewhere's in there, depending on if I have to do something earlier on Sunday morning, say by noon hour, then I'll want to end by 8, which is, 17 hours, I think. So it depends, but we can go 19, 20 hours if I don't have anything to do on Sunday.
So one is, you can see, you can feel it. You can feel it that one is coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the way the tal goes on. There are different beats, this is 16, we have 12, we have 7, we have 9, we have 9.5. So, yeah. So we talk about 16, which is simple. So now, yeah.
Mankind is, under speeded up conditions, retribalizing in the old technical sense. I'm using the word tribal now in the technical sense of living by ear rather than by eye. The word involvement has taken over from the word escapism. Everybody used to be accused of escapism in the age of the book and the movie, and now they're accused of involvement. The old meaning of cool was detachment. The new meaning is involved. The word cool has flipped. And it's a very good indication of where or what's been going on. But this retribalizing, which is a technical thing, and I am not taking a pro or con stand on this or on any of these other technical changes. It seems to me rather futile to make a moral stand or a value judgment stand on a technological matter.
That would be the physical. There's the limited notion of the physical, and then there's ION's expanded physical, which has dimensions and aspects that people are not used to contemplating as part of the physical. The physical can be a limiting idea. And McLuhan is limited in relation to ION. ION's way more rhythmic than McLuhan. But when we get into the third phase of the show, and we're into the physical, McLuhan's really good at sensory awareness and the extensions of sensory awareness and of a more loose version of what the physical is and how it can mutate. So McLuhan's appropriate, right now anyways, is appropriate for a anti-environment to the non-physical of ION. So it's kind of like refocusing on your physicalness, though not as a limitation. So McLuhan's pretty good at pointing out your physicalness of your immediate environments, but not in a way that restricts you. It's liberating what McLuhan gets you to see. So, and that's what the third phase should be. It should be an expanded notion of what the physical is. Often it includes a discussion of me, details about my life or Carolyn's life as a role model of expanded physicality. Right? So
and also
often devolves into bantering about Bob's, sex life or something,
But after all, technology is something we did to ourselves. Why become indignant or enthusiastic about a wheel or a telegraph? But another major shift going on right under our noses, and therefore invisible, is the shifting of the Western world toward the Orient. That is, we are engaged in westernizing the Orient by our old technology.
Re-edutainment, that's right. The PAYDAY is an immersion in a teaching machine, which is art and war. It's a dialectic. It goes between aesthetic beauty and pain. If you think of war as pain and art as pleasurable. So there's the oscillating going on in PAYDAY, either internally or even externally. Yes, that's it's edutainment. It's then broken up into a dialectic of war and aesthetics.
War is education. I think once people realized that war was a major all-out educational effort, they would quickly abandon it as disgusting. The people aren't that fond of education.
There'd be several wars. There'd be the war between you and you. That's already happening. There'd be the war between me and whoever I'm engaging. There would be the war between me and ION. There would be the war engaged by others as I observe them. I would observe the war, those previous wars, between you and you, between you and someone else, and between you and ION. And the war would be the tension, and then the release, and then the tension, and the release. It's more a game, a sport. War may be too strong, but war is transformation, transforms a culture. So with that definition, we are transforming a culture. So we are engaging in a war with the present, but with much slack, with much electron ionization of slack. That's the dominant mood.
So war has been misclassified. It is actually a teaching machine. The whole culture in action simultaneously equals war. Education simply consists in putting one little bit of the culture in action under controlled conditions, algebra, arithmetic, history. You break it up, break your culture up into little bits and just allow one little bit at a time, and that's education. War is the whole culture in action. Now, as I say, these are utterly unexplored, untouched subjects. While we are westernizing the East, the Orient, by our old technology, we're orientalizing ourselves by new technology. The electric age is giving us all the inner chip. We're spending all our latest billions on orientalizing the Western world by electric means, while spending a much smaller budget on westernizing the Orient. But again, anything that is present is invisible, and the fact that we're orientalizing ourselves, going inward, in depth, giving up all our old superficial ways of external aggression in favor of inner tripping, this is quite invisible. I don't know what would happen if people became totally aware of what they were doing in any particular period. I hope we may have something to contribute to this. Awareness, it seems to me, is a very desirable thing. I'm not sure if that's a moral judgment. No, it's just a preference. But I can assure you that history reveals that people have never in any age of the human past ever known what they were doing. That is, what the effects would be of what they were doing. They always had, verbalized ways of mentioning to themselves what they were doing, but, for example, nobody ever knew what the effect of the wheel would be on the arrangement of human life and so on. And now in the age of the circuit, the wheel is finished. The motor car is on its very last wheels.
See, this comes back to your mind, the labyrinth of your mind. Better back up, Bob. We got this one. Your mind, the labyrinth of your mind sets up a very horrible, ridiculous, inappropriate precedent. It tries to validate everything that is based on what was that you knew that is. You will have no recollection of knowing this unless something you've experienced. As you'd say, the glib, cliche archetype, people don't know what they like what they know.
Now this is like a composition. It doesn't have a lyrics right now, but if I sing on the lyrics, so once you give a lyrics to it, it comes alive. So this is the composition I've set into 16 beat. Now I'm going to improvise, and I'm not going to disturb other notes because I'm doing one rag, one scale. So I'm going to improvise only on that and make stand that full scale.
Then phase 3 is the physical, and that's usually talking about the implications of the first phase and the second phase for you, for us. See, this is Dilruba. Exactly look like a sitar. It has frets, but it's a bowing instrument. And he's also playing the same notes. Correct. Now, this is the composition. Suppose I'm just giving him a demo. This is the composition.
Well, you are also doomed to be judged by that same moniker. So Therefore, there is no experience that you can recall and embrace except if it's one that you've already done. So if you've already done it, then you can embrace it.
In phase 3, in Indian music, Asian Indian music, is the improvising part. And that is the playing with a certain, as I understand you've explained to me, certain pattern of sounds. And everybody just goes nuts with these patterns. Well, the pattern of sounds in phase 3, dealing with the physical, would be a pattern that was evoked by phase 1, the labyrinth of the mind, and phase 2, the non-physical. And it's improvised because people start speaking from the creative faculty of their physicalness, and they can go into weird directions. Whereas the first phase is people trying to sound intelligent as they wrestle with coherency in their labyrinth of their mind. The second phase is submission to ion, kind of an obedience to letting ion lead the melody, creating the melody. And then we let loose in phase 3 and take on our creative powers. And that is usually surprising, and it goes in areas that we don't expect. That's why we call it the improvising. So Indian music lays out the 3 phases of Payday.
Now, improvise. Let's see how. The cycle goes on. That's not going to stop. The idea is we have set a composition, which is this. So this is the composition we have started, and now he's going to explore the rag, the scale, the important notes, important moods, important aspects of the raga. He's going to explore that, and slowly there's a stage. You have to go slowly. You can't just explore every octave or every fingerboard of your instrument. You just have to go step by step. That's the procedure.
Yeah, usually about once a year or every 6 months, Ion gives us something that's very hard for most of us to get our mind around. To contain it within the labyrinth of your framework of your concepts. There's been a bunch of them over the last few years. Just the idea back in 2011 that Ion was like HAL in 2001, a computer program, even a program that was a tape recording. That was a big percept. Now we can, I think we're quite used to that idea, and Ion has demonstrated in different ways. But he really demonstrated it with that performance at Skype. But we've had many other strange things. And this year's strange idea is that we were never born. And, how are you going to convince a mother that she didn't give birth to something? So that'll be worked on, discussed, or tried to make understandable, comprehensible over the next 6 months. I will probably gradually give us new or different angles on that idea. And we may end up saying, he'll say, oh, never mind, you took me all wrong, I didn't mean that, of course you're born. Ian may do a Gilda Radner, and I'm not sure if he's ever done a Gilda Radner, but sometimes it sounds like he has, because when he first says a strange idea, it doesn't turn out to be, as you quiz Ian about it, it doesn't turn out to be what you thought he was saying. But he may be saying that, so I rest my case of ambivalence. It's always an ambivalent journey with Ion. But if one was thinking that Ion was just JW hyped up, that's gone now with the simulation of JW by Ion, whatever Ion is as a technology. I mean, it's pretty incredible what we witnessed.
So the cycle goes on and he's playing.
Do you recall were you one? So do you recall that?
Yes, but we cannot even remember when we were babies, so we could not.
That's because you weren't babies.
We weren't babies.
Yes.
Now, come on, like that. As we learned tonight. We learned half an hour.
Yes.
We weren't babies.
So when you're
See,
There's
your
a good
mind
reason
can't
for that.
take it.
You didn't appear here, darling. You've always been here. That's the point. If you were born, how did you fall? Where'd you fall from?
So these are the aspect of the raga. The style what I play is not only instrumental. It resembles a lot of vocal. So if you can listen to this very closely, it's more of vocals. An instrument can't do this. That's instrument. That's vocal because it has a thread going in. Now some small patterns, like we say tan. Tan in Sanskrit means which is something standing straight, like the wall. It's tan. Like in India we say tan diya. I hope you understand what I mean, right? So tan means she is a very good Hindi teacher in Berlin.
It's a lie.
She understands. So tan means like straight. So
Okay.
whatever we are playing, it has to be like straight of the notes.
Okay.
Whatever I do, I have to come on the first beat.
Yeah,
I have
well-
to also think or keep my mind on the tal, the pattern is going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
She was. She is, but she was not born to your wife. She was not born to your wife, no.
So now this is just the tabla part, just a small demo of the tabla part. But the style, the way we do a performance, there are 5 movements to explore the raga.
Basically, yeah.
The first basic style of introducing a scale in a concert, a raga, is called alap. It's a very small, slow, and very mild way of, very smooth way of getting into the raga and also getting it introduced to the audience. So, Tarapchina. So now, like I'm sitting on stage. This is the tempo of the alap. It has to be very slow, steady.
Let there be given unto me bread cakes in the house of refreshing, and sepulchre offerings of cakes and ale, a propitiatory offerings in Anu, and a permanent homestead of Shehek Arah, with wheat and barley therein, to the double of the Osiris, described
That's the
Ani.
first movement. So this is how.
What was the name of the
Book of the Dead.
Then
Is that the Book of the
second
Dead,
step,
Roxy?
this
You
is
know that?
faster.
Yes.
The
Yes.
same thing I'm gonna play, which is alap, the same type of phrases, but in a tempo not with the tabla. With maintaining the tempo with the right hand and playing the same stuff what I was playing with one stroke, but I'm gonna play more strokes. So that will maintain a tempo. Like
If you had the Book of the Dead, you could trace it. Yay, go our team. So, a needle pulling thread. That's the gist of it.
The biggest mind fuck ever.
So Ian, are there there is no connection really if we are not
Well,
born.
there is genealogically speaking, genetically speaking, the genealogy, especially the one in Kings and Chronicles, list off all the begets. This one begat, that one begat, that one begat, that one. And that's to get you back to God.
So it's a rhythm.
Then the second phase is ion is brought in, and we swim around in the massage of non-physical, or what ion provides.
Then we do because the raga is now climbing, slowly, it's like growing up. So we also have to show the moods. Now this section, which is alap, the first segment of the performance, it has to go extremely fast. So that's called the jhala, where we play the more of the strumming. So this goes on a higher, how it grows, see.
No, where you came, how to get back to where you were. See, we can't just say no. Because we can do the papyrus of an eye, but you wouldn't get that either. Connection, and this runs in your family, and that family is what ran you into the thing, and you're all by yourself. No wonder that you should die the same horrible death that they probably will also if they do. Is it like that, Dr. Nee? Well, it's a contusion of all of you. You've got to find looking for a reason. You had to find some connection to be a connection. No, where you came, how to get back to where you were.
Where we started and where it is now. We started here. And now it's here.
That's the only connection. And total biology very quickly tells you that if you don't have your family around you to run the details of your...
So it goes extreme fast and then it ends. So now, same 16 beat what we played will be played in a different tal, different pattern, different tempo. So it will be 16, but it will be like Vilambit, like a much more slower one.
Is that the Book of the Dead, Roxy? You know that?
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 1 That's the same sound. And he's playing the same beat, but the tempo is too low. He's breaking it into. So it's not 4/4 now, it's 2/4.
Okay, is that the papyrus that Ion said 3 minutes ago? What was the papyrus of Athenia or something, Ion? What's
And
that?
there is no time. That's the trouble.
So this is like the first composition which comes with the tabla player, and we start the bilam with. In this also we do explore the raga. We kind of, every time we play a scale, it's like making the major points, but as it's an improvising, way of doing a scale. You have to keep this in mind that you're not playing the same phrases or same kind of pattern.
Most of
See, I told you it was
You
a
have to
party
be
of
well
one, and they're
researched,
listening
well
away.
taught to do a proper 7-note scale or 5-note scale. And then we slowly go to a faster tempo.
History is not linear, so our life is also not linear, right?
Never has been, but you try to make it. You try to live a linear life.
So now this is the composition, and now this is like an improvisation over it. So the beat is on the right now. We are just exploring. Beat is there. It's not gonna go anywhere, right? So first beat is gonna come after 16. That's fine. So you just have to make the rag, the scale more upgoing.
No, you don't do that. You take and you fill in the blotters. You take the ink stain. You take the ink stain and the blotters, and they pull it up, and then you say, and then that's how they gauge your sanity based on what you see in the ink blotter. Well, the ink blotters are just blotters of ink. But based on what you see, that gauges and gives reference of what you see. But you obviously see things, so your imagination is driving. So you have a driving imagination that says what you are. Well, then you become that which you are. But you're not that what you are, because it's just what you think you are. So you think what you think that you think that you think that you are. And then you come back and you find out that that's not who you are at all. People get married and live a very long life, have families, and they wake up and find out they're raging homosexuals. They just wake up one day, I think I'm going to be a homosexual, and then there they go.
This segment's in.
I like to say transformation.
Dude.
And you could say, you'd say transformation, then you'd add in mutation. You wouldn't use evolution.
Dude.
You wouldn't use any of the other oceans. You'd use transformation, and then it is basically a mutation of yourself from what you thought you were.
Dude.
And that's what you can anticipate, a mutation. So part of the anticipatory democracy is anticipating the benefits of ascension.
And then we go to the faster, much more faster, which is the end, the happiness.
Dude.
Who's breathing there?
Most of them, Bob.
That's the segment of happiness. Even the musicians sometimes become happy to end this now soon.
All the lines connect, darling. Yes, your diagram, all the lines connect.
Somebody's trying to get attention.
Well, give them some. She's arguing that all the lines don't make up, and she's decided that clouding up under things and standing up and bumping her head is not the fastest path to her joy. So she's no longer going to continue to try to understand things that are far too short for her to be under.
Right.
Spoken from the world's tallest midget.
That's correct. Rashi, imagine your intestines overlaying each other. You know how they image your intestines all sort of lying over each other, right?
Yes.
That's the way reality is. And so you could be at one part of the intestines, so that you're in one part of the intestine that could be called Toronto, but it's lying up against a twisting thing that puts you back in Egypt 3,000 years ago. It's right beside your Toronto thing. See? So that's how...
nothing's that close to Toronto. Ugh.
But if you see how everything is touching things not linearly, everything's touching things like a piled up spaghetti. Right? So you're here, and then that's touching another thread of spaghetti, which is actually 2 million years from now, because there's no limit to the pile of spaghetti.
There's to the amount of ridiculous, inappropriate, non-existent time that Bob keeps trying to line things up to.
Yeah, by chart.
Ugh. That's why it's
by chart time. Yeah,
that's tiny.
And,
no audience.
Then it should be easier to go back to the ascended state.
That's the point.
That's the point. Welcome to my world.
Yes, you see in the Revelations that the door was always there, and it was open. Like there is a Buñuel film.
The 18th pylon.
Well, that confuses everything. 18th pylon. No one knows what that is.
The 18th pylon. Well, you're in the Book of the Dead. She does.
Sometimes we get going so fast and we don't know what's wrong. We just have to say we got to put us off. Just listen. All you got to do is listen. It's ridiculous, inappropriate in every way. First, you don't know what you're talking about. You learn right here. All the stuff we don't watch it. Save a lot of time. You can do the 12-hour, 99,000-hour show in about 2 seconds if you could. You want to. If they can get every damn word, you wouldn't be worried about all the shit you're not getting because you're not going to get anyway because no matter how down for it. Because it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. They're going to give you what you're going to get. If you got what you got, you got to get what you're going to get. What you get, So if you got to get it, you want to find it out. So then we act a little bit, and then you go back into the digital voice. That all comes through very clearly.
And you where we have 5 and 6, 5 and 7, maybe 7 and 5.
On the way up.
Yes. On the way so in the ascending we have sometimes 5, and in the descending we have 7. No, it's not.
And you're how to hold it?
Yeah. We have to tune it accordingly. Yes.
But on the way up and down.
Yeah. So there is a way. Like there are notes which is repeating. Like for an instance. It's a 5 scale rather. Okay. Now, the same ascending, but the descending will be different. So now, in this full scale, I am getting this note and this note, so I can tune it. Accordingly, we tune. The difficulty of playing these kind of scales are, if you are playing a pattern which is ascending, so you have to follow that those are 5 only. So if you are playing in ascending and descending is 7, so
we muted Bob. Scream, damn you, scream. That's what you need to do. Scream, that's it. Send a little email. Yeah, holler a little bit.
In the ascending, I'm only using those notes, not touching.
Thou sawest kill that a stone.
My phrase is reversing back to the descending order. I'm going to use those notes.
Smote the image upon his feet that were iron and clay, and breaks them to pieces.
And if you by chance make a mistake by using the note which was there in descending, you have to really convert your phrase. You have to go back and listen. Yeah, like. You understand? So you have to come back. That's the system. Once you start doing it, it's easy.
With Ion, definitely Ion is encouraging us to approach the new environment, which is Iondom and Ion, the way McLuhan did it. You don't get too involved with concepts about it, ideas. You look at it through your senses and your experiences with the new environment, your anomalies, your perceptions. That's what McLuhan emphasized. Not abstract notions, but what your perceptions are of your new environment and how you usually not noticing it accurately.
Yes, and that's one of the new things I'm having a meltdown with the perception. I don't understand anymore what that is if we are perceiving things that are not, like different ages, these representations of ourselves that are actually not real. So what will be perception for you?
I have a McLuhanite friend, Cameron McEwen, and he points out that you can't have perception without conception or thought. That thought is dancing among the words. So if you try to focus too much on perception and forget the thought part of it, then you might get lost in the concreteness of what's implied by perceiving. But McLuhan had to emphasize perception over conception because literacy created a society of concepts. So that's a preamble to what you're saying. That's not directly answering what your point is, but you're asking about how to perceive the strange notion that what you can't remember about your birth.
Well, no, the thing is, I think as the mystery landscape becomes visible, we're having these meltdowns because things make no sense. So
no sense.
That's the shock between these concepts we have and what we are perceiving. There is
Yes, I just have something to say to that. That's what I just posted the notes to, Don Thiel's book, The Ecology of Sense. And it's about how we make sense via our senses, which they in turn change what we thought we made sense of. So there's an interaction between the sensory life and the sensuousness and the sensory and the mental making sense of. So it's an interesting pun there about when you say things don't make sense. That means you're not sure of what your senses are making, because your senses are engaged in an activity of making, an action of making in response to the present and the new environment. So what you have to say, what do I mean by it doesn't make sense? What it means is that your concepts and images of what you thought were a sequence of events is being denied, in this case by Ion. So you need new string of images.
Yes, and the thing we have to accept that nothing is linear. No, there is no linear history, no linear life. There is no time.
I would say it this way. There is linearity when you're reading a book, or when you're thinking like a book. There's linearity. It just isn't.
In music, for example.
What?
In music, there is.
Yeah. The point is, it is not the dominant rational order. It is only the rationality of the visual sense. There's a whole rationality in a different order with the ear, in a different order with the tongue, and with the smell, and with feeling and proprioception and movement of your muscles. So there is no time and there is no visibility. You're only saying that to get rid of the domination it has had because of the visual bias in the society. So you don't want to say there is no linearity. It's just very minor, your linear experience.
But right? I think this not making sense with our our perception as it is now will start changing as our cells get perfected, and also these new senses come back, or we retrieve, or what Ion calls the spiritual gifts, and
The
then
non-physical gifts.
and then we can function again with another perception and another understanding of the environment.
Yeah, and we would, the idea of no sense, nonsense, or making sense would have a new richness, a new resonance, a new order to it than it does now if you're flailing around and thinking nothing much is making sense in Iondom.
Yes, because it's on the contrary. If somebody comes and listens to Payday, they may think it's only nonsense. What are they talking about? But the thing is, you need to go on and explore.
You need to hear more of it. You need to hang out. It's like waiting for the RNA drops to take effect. You have to keep taking the drops. If they haven't made pretty dramatic effects, and often they do, but if they don't, you hang in there. You keep taking the drops, and then you'll eventually have a surprise about what the drops were doing to you. The same is listening to Payday. You hang in there, and you keep, quote, waiting, unquote, to see what makes sense to you or what surprised you. I mean, those that were indifferent to Payday or were losing interest because usually it sounds like just a lot of words and no actions being supplied. But if they believe what we saw on Thursday, they would have to come back and engage, because it makes Ion way more interesting, the experience we had on Skype, and opens new possibilities. So if you didn't wait around for that, you're not going to know what we did. What happened this week?
Yes,
you're going to miss it.
I understand all these things as we are in another point of this weird thing we call evolution, which is not evolution, but we could not have miracles like fish or water becoming wine, or multiplication of fish. We need something which is according to the now.
Yeah.
In the oleopathic media. So now this, for example, for me, the Bob Fest was the new miracle. Like somebody just speaking non-stop and making sense and going on for so long is amazing. And
that was Bob Fest?
Yeah, and then because most people will say when you are the age that you are not, because there is no age, but it's like, what, he can do that for so long and sound so coherent and so that's a big anomaly that is using the homeopathic medium to.
Yes, now that's a new kind of abundance, 5,000 fishes and water or whatever he provided for everybody, some kind of physical abundance. Today, you have to provide an abundance of information or a fascination, and that's what's incredible about Payday. People keep coming back because we keep presenting some new variation of information. Some Ion just does something different every show. So that's demonstrating negentropy, no friction, things winding down and coming to a stop. We manifest abundance, millions of fishes and loaves of bread in terms of information that people eat. So
yes,
and we're creating a new kind of miracle.
The host was like a metaphor, but you are really giving bread of life, living water, RNA drops. It's not like a metaphor you believe in. It's the real thing.
Yes, and we it's like a mass. We've been doing this for 5 years or so. October 2009. Yeah, this has been 5 years of performing on the radio, on the internet radio, because it's not just radio, not the old-fashioned radio, but we've been doing 5 years And it could be looked at, once we start offering the RNA drops and our other products, as a mass, an ongoing Catholic mass, a Holy Communion. And some people would think it was a black mass because of the obscenity or raciness that goes on, no holds barred, and the conflict of, or the celebration of pleasurable emotions. So we will include a holy mass and a black mass, and yet it's neither. It's a phatic communion, and it often becomes a manipulophatic communion, you know? And then it becomes a holeophatic, your phrase, with holeopathic technologies. Holeophatic, holeopathy. So yeah, it's a modern miracle what we do in terms of output and what people can engage.
And we can finally get satisfactic.
Yeah? Satisfatic. No, satisfaction is not phatic. Phatic is when you don't have satisfaction, or you're enjoying the aimlessness of the phatic. But no, we offer an anti-environment to the phatic. We offer completion.
Right.
Yeah, we do offer completion with the products. And, there's so many levels of miracles going on. If you take Carolyn's show, Ginny's show, and my show, you got three variations of miraculous expression happening. I mean, you got great medical miracles being reported on Monday. You got Ginny's attempt to create a community for Iandom, and people finding that exciting or miraculous, that they're entertained by it. And then you have me, the Hell's Angel of Iandom, presenting the Dark Soul and the real revolution, which is beyond community, beyond perception, and includes what you are afraid of.
Yes, but maybe you have to explain very.
What I just said is not true, but that's what my show is. We just go half-cocked, We're not sure why we're doing what we just said. What were you going to say?
Yeah, that what's the black soul? Because some people have no idea what that really means.
Well, the dark soul.
The dark soul.
Yeah, the dark soul is the one that the angels are afraid of, because the dark soul will not be beholden to the angels. The dark soul is for throwing off the requirement of the angels. That's how Ion defines the dark soul. And I'm the dark soul. I'm not into us having a guff and giving the angels a role of taking us to the dead zone, to the interzone.
Yeah, so it's like they're providing the illusion maybe also of being born and being dead.
The angels?
Maybe.
Yeah, they're part of that setup. They say, "Oh, you're dead now. We're going to take you to the guff. You're just going to be happy now. It's a terrible fate. You'll just be blissed out. You won't be able to create, but it's best because you're just a little human and you're not too good at creating. So we're taking you home. You can't stay in the physical, and you can't go home, which would be staying in the physical in a new way." And they do a third thing. They remove you. You can't stay here. What is it? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So the angel says, you can't stay here. We're not taking you home, because home would be in the physical, an expanded eternal physicality. So they remove you. They take you somewhere else, which is a sidebar, the interzone.
But this zone is no more.
No more. There's nowhere to go. So what is it now? You can stay here, and you can go home. That's the new bartender. This bar does not close. The bar is closed. They say you can't stay here, but you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Well, it's not. Our bar doesn't offer that.
Yeah, it's worse than a David Lynch movie.
Yes. Wait, what did you say? It's worth a David Lynch movie?
Yes, the situation you are now in, if you transition, is like you don't go to the Gulf, to the bliss.
Yes, it's a strange environment that you're now in, which in a way Lynch was trying to maybe project. of you can stay here and you don't have to go home, or you find out here is home. So it's a wonderful replacement, homeopathic replacement of that TV show called Cheers.
Okay.
You're fallen. That fallen, you don't remember that you weren't born. See, you were God, and you separated yourself from God, so you got to start. So if you're God, you can't say, oh, I was a God, and I remember casting myself down on the earth as one who sinned and fallen short of the grace and glory of God, and I was messing with me, oh God, oh God. Yeah, wait, me said that now. Wait a minute, I could save myself, but then I would be a sinner, and God isn't a sinner, so if I'm a sinner saved by grace and I'm God, and God saved me, if I save myself, then I'd have to go to purgatory, and then I'd have to have Jesus come and fetch the keys to death and the grave in the middle ground, from the middle ground that I fell from, so I could be born again. No, wait, that I wasn't born, so I could be born again and reascend from the ascension that comes back to the, no, wait. If I was God, no. Yeah, if God was one of us, no, wait. What would you ask if he just had one question? No. Wait. Now we got this. Okay. So, if you were God and you couldn't remember, then you'd have to come from some whir. So the whir, as Daddy Farquhar would say, the whir would be your mama. And so then you could ask eternally how is your mama name? Well, mama name is the one that you beget yourself from, so you could remember Genie Electric. That's Genie Electric. That's the one who invented the electric slide. But then the electric slide, then what happens? It's electric. Then what happens is you can trace your way backwards, doing the steps, 3 steps forward, 2 back, step, slide back, heel to toe, turn, and then everybody back, 12-step program. Yeah, so it's only 6 steps. It's only 6 steps, Bob. You do them 6 at a time, and they're affirmation.
Paul Williams, 6 steps.
You can ask the Oakley Winfrey Network. Oakley's on. She's got it.
Oakley's on.
Yeah, she loves it. And then you can get the Paul Anka version, which is even better. He got that. It's just like a 12-step program, only with him you could have a drink. Fidel. Well, you're not quite through yet, so we're not sure how to answer.
Oh, okay. I'm still a Moabite. I'm in the Moabite quadrant. Okay, let's move on with some more knowledge. We're just fucking around with ions.
Let's talk about
everywhere. Learning so much from ions. We need to take a break from ions information.
We need to find out what Bob's eating today. Bob, what food?
Wait, before we go on, where were the Moabites born?
They weren't born. Did you have green drink yet, Bob?
I haven't had the green drink yet. That's true. I haven't. Yeah, I gotta have a green drink. Yeah, I'm fucked up. But that's a good point. Nobody was born in Moabite because Moab was very close to the ascended continent. Metaphorically.
Nobody's born anyway, because that's just...
that was stupid. So why did you just say nobody's born? That applies everywhere.
We already answered that. Now, if we answer a question and we clear it, and you come back and ask the question that we've already answered, answer again. Does that count as another complete question? Does that count as another complete question? Is that a win? Or is that going to the category of yet another question that I'm not going to get answered from my end because the reason is because he's already answered it. Is that how that goes?
Yeah, Dave Worcester was right. Bob's just trying to ask as many questions as possible.
You Wesley. You Wesley. You Wesley.
Ion, someone's coming in, Ion. Ion.
Before you said you're looking for the stone to get you across the River Jordan.
Yes. Yes.
There.
To cross the river, it's a metaphor for something.
It's not a metaphor. It's deep and wide. It's what separates you from the promised land. It's where Canaan land is just in sight. Oh, Lord, Bob, it's probably in your inbox. Don't worry, you ain't going to pay. It really doesn't. There's no time. There is no age. There's only representations of you that you embrace.
Okay, fine.
It's going faster. He is faster. He is doing it faster.
Was he saying re-ascending or rescending?
I'm not sure.
Well, let's take it re-ascending. We've done it before, I think, so we're going to do it again. And I am always a bit hesitant to use the word ascension or ascending. To me, it has corny implications, but I haven't any other word. And I think ion adds a whole new dimension to it. He adds a new richness to the idea. So if one thinks ascension is a corny phrase, you haven't been listening to Ion. He makes it rich in Finnegan's wake type of implications, going in all directions at once. So it's not a linear ascension. That's the old-fashioned idea. That's the Platonic idea. It is a richness, a depth to your experience. That's what ascension is.
How to get back